to scary stories.
Every night, I share a story that most people wouldn't dare to tell. If you're listening, you're already one of us. And if you haven't subscribed yet, that's okay. But just know, every new subscriber brings me one step closer to building a safe place for the one person I love most, my mother. So if you enjoy these haunted tales, press that button, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the reason the next story finds a happier ending. I've spent 20 years peering into the minds of broken people. I've seen trauma crawl behind the eyes like worms beneath glass. But I've never feared what I study. Not until I opened Lily Hart's diary. I first heard of her through a call. "Dr. Mercer, we have something unusual," the head of Black Hollow Psychiatric said over the line. His voice crackled like static through the cheap speaker of my office phone. He didn't sound afraid, but he didn't sound normal either. 17-year-old female. Name: Lily Hart. No prior diagnosis. Murdered her family in one night. Mother, father, younger brother. All stabbed in their sleep. No known motive. No history of violence. The girl hasn't spoken since the event. There's something she left behind. "We'd like your opinion." I should have declined. But I didn't. I met Lily for the first time through glass. She sat in a high-security ward, wrapped in a white hospital gown, her eyes fixed on the corner of the room. Not the door, not me. She didn't blink, didn't move. But her presence felt too loud for silence. "She hasn't reacted to anyone," the orderly whispered beside me. "Not even when we tried ECT prep. She just stares at that wall." I glanced through the thick glass. In the corner of her cell, there was a faint charcoal mark, a circle with 2 lines for eyes, crudely drawn, but hauntingly familiar, though I couldn't say why. They handed me the diary in a sealed evidence bag. It was bound in leather, blackened, stiff, and strangely warm to the touch. The first page had a childlike drawing of a family, but with their faces scribbled out. The next page was empty. And then it began. The diary started simply. Odd observations. "There's something under Mom's bed. It watches me sleep. The TV sometimes talks in the wrong voice. He told me he'd come for them first." The handwriting was erratic, slanted upward like it was crawling toward escape. After a dozen pages, she began drawing the same figure over and over. A tall, faceless man with hollow circles for eyes. Sometimes his body was bent, distorted, like a spider's legs. Other times he stood behind her family members, his hand on their shoulders. I laughed it off at first. The classic shadow person delusion, common in paranoid schizophrenia. But that night, I couldn't sleep. And at precisely 3:11 a.m., I swore I heard scratching behind the walls. My second session observing Lily brought something new. As I stood behind the one-way mirror, I watched her stare into the same corner. But this time, she turned her head, just slightly, and looked straight at me through the glass. I blinked. No one else noticed, but I swear her lips moved. And I swear she mouthed, "He sees you now." The dreams began on the 3rd night. In them, I walked through Lily's home, or what I assumed was her home. Each room was bathed in a yellow, rotten light. The walls pulsed slightly as if breathing. The air felt like damp wool wrapped around my throat. I walked past a hallway mirror and paused. In the reflection, I saw myself, but a younger version. I was wearing clothes I hadn't worn since I was 12. My eyes were wide, fearful, and staring at something behind me. I turned. Nothing. I woke up gasping, my sheets soaked in sweat. The next morning, the diary had moved. I was certain I'd left it on my bookshelf, but it lay open on my kitchen table, turned to a page I hadn't yet read. He likes the ones who look too long. I started taking photographs of each page to track any changes, just to calm myself. But one morning, page 34, which I'd photographed as a picture of Lily's family eating dinner, now showed the same table, but with 3 corpses slumped over it. Their eyes were gouged out. One figure. Lily's. I assumed, and stood behind them, smiling. In the top corner she had written, "This is how he taught me to be free." I checked the photograph from the day before. The image was different. I hadn't noticed until now. But in the background of the old image, standing just outside the kitchen window, was a tall, dark figure, with 2 hollow eyes. Driven by obsession, I pulled Lily's full case file from Black Hollow's records room. Something didn't make sense. No school complaints, no disciplinary reports, straight A student, active in art club, loved by peers. But then I found a red folder, a scanned set of documents from her father's medical history, 20 years ago. He was institutionalized for visual hallucinations, for sleepwalking into the forest at night and claiming something was following him, something tall, with no face, who taught him about his family's secrets. His discharge note: patient believes the madness is hereditary, urged not to have children. I called Dr. Eliza Monroe, an old colleague of mine. She was sharp, pragmatic, the last person to entertain fantasy. When I mentioned Lily's diary, her voice went flat. "You're reading it, aren't you?" "Yes." "Then stop. Burn it. That thing's not a diary, it's a trap." She hung up. I stared at the pages. He likes it when you understand. That's when you start to belong to him. That night I slept with the lights on. And still, I dreamed. But this time it wasn't Lily's house. It was mine. The walls in my apartment began to peel. I blamed the dampness at first. It's an old building. But then I noticed something underneath the paint. As I scraped away with a knife, I uncovered the symbol from Lily's cell. The crude face, hollow eyes, dozens of them, layered over each other, etched directly into my walls. I returned to the hospital. This time, I entered Lily's room. She didn't move, didn't blink. But as I sat down and pulled out the diary, she finally reacted. She turned to face me slowly and whispered, "You brought him with you," and then smiled. Her first words in months. I froze. She reached out and touched the diary gently and whispered again, "Now you're the story." I couldn't breathe. I kept replaying Lily's words in my head. "You brought him with you." I left the room quickly, my heart pounding, my palms slick with sweat. As I walked down the hall, I felt it, the presence. It was faint, like a lingering shadow that clung to the corners of the walls. But it was there. I had the sudden urge to run, but I couldn't. Not from something I couldn't see. As I walked out of the hospital, I knew Lily's warning was more than just a paranoid outburst. The diary was affecting me. I'd heard enough about psychological manipulation in my career to recognize the signs. And yet, I couldn't stop reading. I couldn't stop digging. That night, I sat in my office, staring at the diary. It was open, to a page I hadn't read yet. I hesitated, feeling a cold knot twist in my stomach. The page was different this time. It wasn't just text or drawings. There was something new in the margin, a line of words I had never seen before. "He will come for you when you sleep. You'll know him by his eyes." I laughed nervously, unable to shake the dread creeping over me. As if on cue, I heard a faint scratching noise from behind my office door. At first, I thought it was just the old wood creaking, but it came again. And again, I stood up and moved toward the door. My heart hammered in my chest. The scratching stopped. I turned the knob and opened it. Nothing. But when I glanced back into my office, I could see something new. A figure standing behind my desk, silent. A tall shadow. The face was barely visible, but the eyes, hollow, black circles. I stumbled back. No one was there, just my reflection in the glass. The first night I didn't sleep. I thought I was simply tired. The second night, I couldn't close my eyes. By the third night, I was shaking. My body craved rest, but something in my mind refused to let me fall asleep. I started hearing things in the dark. Soft whispers. Words I couldn't understand. Sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night, and I could see shadows moving in my room, almost like silhouettes shifting at the edge of my vision. I tried to dismiss it as stress, but every time I reached for the diary, I felt the whispers grow louder. The words began to seep into my mind, not just from the diary, but from the shadows that followed me in my sleep-deprived haze. I tried calling Eliza, but she didn't answer. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was alone in this, trapped in a spiral that I couldn't escape. I began to dive deeper into Lily's family history, convinced there was something I was missing. The more I uncovered, the more the pieces didn't fit. Lily's parents weren't the perfect, upstanding citizens I had first believed. Her father, Thomas Hart, had a dark history I hadn't found in the initial files. In his youth, he had been involved in occult practices, rituals, dark rituals, and it didn't stop there. He was obsessed with the idea of opening doors, of crossing over into another realm, one where the laws of reality didn't apply. I found an old journal buried deep in the family's file. It was his. In it, he described a vision. A tall, faceless figure, one with black hollow eyes that followed him. The same figure Lily had drawn in her diary. The insomnia didn't end. It got worse. I couldn't focus at work. My colleagues noticed, but I brushed it off. They suggested I take some time off, that I was pushing myself too hard. But I couldn't. Not now. Not while I was so close. I stayed up for days, piecing together Lily's diary with her father's journal. The connection was undeniable. The figure wasn't just a hallucination. It wasn't just a delusion. It was real. And now I could feel it watching me. It started small at first. Flickers in the corner of my vision. A shift in the air when I walked through a room. But one night, as I sat alone in my office, it happened again. I felt its presence. Cold, suffocating. I looked up from the desk. It was standing in the doorway, the tall figure, the hollow eyes. I couldn't scream, I couldn't move. Then it spoke. "I've been waiting for you, Dr. Mercer." I don't remember how long I sat there, staring at that thing. Time lost its meaning. It could have been minutes. It could have been hours. But when I finally looked back down at the diary, everything had changed. The pages had shifted, as if the book was alive, rewriting itself in real time. The words were different now, darker, more urgent. The more you understand, the more he wants you. He will come for you, just as he came for them. I looked back up. The figure was gone, but I wasn't alone. The room had changed. The walls were closing in, the air thick and oppressive. I couldn't escape. I had read too much. I had learned too much. Now it was my turn to be consumed. I thought I could break free. I thought I could stop, but I couldn't. I was in too deep. I was already his. And now, it was too late. I stared into the mirror. I didn't recognize the man looking back at me. The face was mine, but the eyes, those hollow, sunken eyes were no longer my own. I had spent too many sleepless nights, too many days fighting my mind and wondering if I could still find the surface before I sank too far. The whispers had gotten louder. Every time I closed my eyes, the voices crept into my mind. When I wasn't looking, I could feel something watching me. It had grown so much stronger since I started reading the diaries. It was him. The figure. I ran my fingers through my hair, trying to clear the fog from my thoughts. But the mirror didn't lie. I had seen that thing before. In my reflection, in the shadows of my office, in the glass of my car door, I was losing myself, slowly, little by little. The line between what was real and what was part of my growing delusion was fading. The moments when I wasn't aware of the figure, I tried to convince myself I was simply exhausted. But exhaustion didn't explain the feeling of being pulled into something darker, something alive. I began keeping detailed notes on my own experiences, documenting my thoughts as though I were studying someone else. The entries became erratic, frantic, and I began to question my own sanity. But then, the visions grew worse. The face in the mirror, his face, smiled at me. It wasn't just a shadow anymore. It was inside me. I couldn't tell if I was still Dr. Andrew Mercer, the doctor trying to solve a mystery, or if I had become the patient. Had I crossed over the line of sanity? How close was I to breaking completely? I'd seen the face again, this time in my office. His eyes weren't black anymore. They were filled with rage, like a storm ready to tear through the walls. I could feel the pressure of them on my mind. The diary, it never stopped changing. The words morphed before my eyes, new phrases emerging where they shouldn't have been. But one thing remained constant: the warning. He feeds on your thoughts, Dr. Mercer. The more you understand, the stronger he becomes. Was this really happening? I couldn't remember anymore. Each time I read it, I felt like I was slipping further into the trap. The line between knowledge and madness had blurred beyond recognition. I flipped to the last page of Lily's journal. The final entry. The one I had avoided for so long. It had been scrawled in a hurried hand, smeared with tears. It was him. The one with the hollow eyes. He took them. And now, he's coming for you. I could no longer sleep. The insomnia had turned into a full-blown obsession. I wasn't sure if I was still in the real world. Every room I entered, every corridor I walked down, felt like it was closing in. The walls pressed in, the air thick with static and a constant hum I couldn't escape. Then, the hallucinations started again. First, I saw the figure standing in the corner of my office, his form barely visible, just a dark outline. His eyes, black, soulless, burned into my skin. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. He whispered my name, not in a voice I recognized, in a voice that wasn't mine. It was becoming harder to tell if I was still Dr. Andrew Mercer, or if I had become a part of the diary itself. The words had consumed me. I started seeing Lily in my dreams. Her eyes were wide with terror, her face pale as though she had seen the very depths of hell. In those dreams, I would walk beside her, but she wouldn't speak. She would only point to the shadow that lurked just out of sight, the same shadow that followed me now. I wanted to scream, to wake up, but I couldn't. I couldn't trust my own mind anymore. I couldn't trust anything I saw or heard. The thin line that once separated reality from delusion had vanished. I had to know the truth. I had to finish this. I returned to the hospital to search for more answers. The hallways were eerily silent, but I could feel eyes on me, following me as I walked. Every door I opened seemed to lead to another deeper layer of confusion. Nothing was as it seemed. I couldn't shake the feeling that the building itself was shifting around me. changing in response to my thoughts. When I found Lily's medical records again, the missing piece clicked. Her history, her obsession with the shadow, the entity, was not just a symptom of her mental illness. She had been chosen. I was beginning to realize that the figure, the one that haunted us both, wasn't just a shadow. It was something ancient, malignant. It thrived on fear, on obsession, and I had fed it. I could no longer deny it. I was broken. I went back to my apartment, unable to fight the pull of the diary. I was no longer just reading it. I was living it. The lines of the page bled into my thoughts. I felt him. The figure. Closer than ever. He was with me now. Inside me. The boundaries of who I was had shattered. The whispers were no longer just in my head. They were out there, all around me. The final entry of Lily's diary haunted me as I sat at my desk. The words blurred together, the ink running like blood. "You've come too far, Dr. Mercer. He's inside. You can't stop him now." I didn't want to look, but I did. I turned the page, and there he was, standing in the mirror, behind me. The same hollow eyes. The end had come. I could feel him behind me now, and me. He was always behind me. When I looked in the mirror, the reflection didn't match my movements. It was like a second version of me, one who didn't move like I did. His eyes, those hollow, black eyes, stared back at me. No, they weren't mine. They belonged to the figure. He was in me. The suffocating air felt heavier. The whispers, once distant and soft, had grown sharper. They were now commanding, pulling me into their depth, and I couldn't resist anymore. I had stopped trying to ignore them, but I wasn't the only one affected. I had seen it in my patients, too. Those who had come to me seeking help were now gone, vanished in one way or another. The insomnia that plagued me had taken root in them as well. The madness was spreading, and it was because of me. Because I had opened the door, I had let him in. The clocks had stopped. I could see them on the walls of my apartment, all frozen at different times. The only sound was the incessant ticking, in my mind, louder with each passing second. I had stopped sleeping altogether. The darkness under my eyes had deepened, and my reflection was unrecognizable. Sometimes, I would see Lily's face in the glass. Not as I remembered it, but as if she was trapped, her features twisted in agony. Every time I blinked, her face would shift, contorting into something unrecognizable, something that made my stomach churn. I couldn't focus anymore. The lines of reality bent and twisted. I would find myself walking into rooms I didn't remember entering. I would hear my voice calling out to me, but it wasn't my voice. It was his. I could feel him inside me. The whispers were no longer just in my thoughts. They were in my flesh, in my blood. The more I tried to pull away, the more it dragged me in. I couldn't stop reading. The diary had become my obsession. I was drowning in its pages, desperate to uncover more, to understand him. But the more I read, the more I realized the truth. It wasn't just about Lily anymore. It was about me, about what I was becoming. The final pages were fading, ink running as if someone was erasing the words. I had to get them back, had to understand, and then, in one of the last entries, as if Lily had known I would reach this point, it said, "I don't know if you can stop him, Dr. Mercer. I don't know if anyone can. You've become a part of this now. There's no escape. He owns you." I couldn't keep track of time anymore. Day and night had blurred into one, and the apartment, my sanctuary, had turned into a maze. The walls seemed to shift, and every room felt like it was leading me deeper into madness. I found myself waking up in places I didn't remember going to sleep in. I would hear noises, whispers in the dark, but there was no one else in the room. The world was closing in on me. But then I started seeing the figures again. More than one. They were shadows, flickering in the corners of my vision. And in the reflections, they were growing stronger, taking on form. There was a bent version of me standing there, smirking back from the corner of my bedroom. It wasn't me, but it was. I had become trapped. It was happening. I felt it. I was being consumed. The figure was no longer a shadow in the mirror. He had taken form, his form, and it was standing right in front of me, in the center of the room. The air was thick, heavy with something wrong. The temperature dropped sharply, the room turning colder by the second. And then I heard it. His voice, deep and suffocating. "It's time, Dr. Mercer. You've read the pages. Now you're part of the story." I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. He was inside me now. I could feel his presence in every part of me, every breath I took. There was no escape. The terror, the dread, was not just psychological anymore. It was real. I wasn't sure if I was still dreaming, or if this was my new reality. I thought back to the first day I read the diary, to when I first entered this madness. If I had stopped then, if I had turned away, maybe I could have spared myself. But I had been drawn in by the mystery, by the obsession. Lily was right. I couldn't stop him now. I had to face the truth. There was no going back. I had a choice, but the choice was no longer mine to make. The figure, the shadow, had already made it for me, and the moment I realized this, the walls of my apartment collapsed inwards, taking me into the darkness. It was over. I woke up again, but I wasn't sure where I was. The world was dark, and I could feel the cold, damp air all around me. My fingers trembled as I reached for the walls, trying to make sense of my surroundings. It felt like I was in a place that didn't exist, like I was trapped in some sort of limbo. The figure stood in front of me once again. The coldness in his eyes was now all I could see. I had become part of his world, his domain, where the rules of reality no longer mattered. And in that final moment, I understood. I was him now. I was part of the story. The line between who I had been and who I had become had disappeared completely. I was lost, and I had taken Lily's place. There was no escape. The world around me was broken. Pieces of it floated just out of reach. The fabric of time was no longer constant. There were moments where the past, present, and future collided into one suffocating moment. And then there were times when everything seemed to stretch out into infinity. But the whispers were louder now. They were everywhere. In the creaking of the floorboards, in the tick of the broken clock, in the scratching of the walls as if something was trying to claw its way out. I could hear his voice in the echoes of my mind, growing stronger, forcing his way through. "You're mine, Dr. Mercer. You can never leave." I stumbled through the apartment, my movements sluggish, like I was dragging my body through mud. The air felt heavier with each passing minute. I couldn't think straight anymore. The diary, the cause of all of this, was always within reach. Its words had burned themselves into my brain, leaving burn marks I couldn't escape. Something had shifted. The shadow wasn't just a reflection anymore. It wasn't a voice in my head. He was real. I could feel his presence in the room, right behind me, breathing in the same air I did. I had tried to push him away, to lock him in the corners of my mind, but it was useless. Every time I thought I was free, he would appear again. Lily had been right. The diary was a door. I had opened it. and now it had opened me. I woke up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, the darkness swallowing me whole. My body ached. I felt like I was being crushed from the inside out. My pulse was erratic, beating in my ears. The world had started to blur again, and then I saw it. The shadow standing at the foot of my bed. His eyes gleamed in the dark, black as coal, and the words he whispered cut through me like a blade. "You're losing yourself, Andrew. You've lost yourself." I couldn't escape my reflection. The mirror had become a portal to the other side. I would stand in front of it, staring into the abyss, waiting for him to emerge. Every time I looked, he was different, shifting. At first, he was just a shadow, but now, he wore my face. I reached out to touch the glass. It was cold, like ice against my skin. I pulled my hand back quickly, but the figure in the mirror didn't. "You're me. I'm you." The words echoed in my mind, and suddenly I couldn't tell where I ended and where he began. Was he taking over? Or was I just seeing myself for the first time, as I really was? It didn't matter anymore, because when I turned away, I could still hear him, still feel him in my bones. I began to lose track of who I was. My memories fractured into pieces. The diary had become my lifeline, but it also trapped me in an endless cycle. I could read the same words over and over, but the meaning was always changing, always shifting. The story of Lily and her descent into madness had become my own. But now, something darker was happening. As I read, I could hear her voice, clearer than ever before. She wasn't just a victim anymore. She was inside me, guiding my every step. I would hear her laughter in the dead of night, soft and eerie, like a whisper brushing against my ear. And then, there were the screams. Not my own, but hers. Echoing through the walls, growing louder, more frantic. She had lost her mind, and so had I. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I would see his face. The figure. He was always there, watching me from the darkness. His face, my face, was a contorted mask of agony, lips twisted in a grotesque grin. It was as if he were taking control, forcing me to live out the nightmare. I could feel my mind unraveling. The lines between what was real and what wasn't had completely disappeared. I had to stop him. But how? I needed to find a way out. But every path I took only led me deeper into the maze of madness. My hands shook as I wrote in my notebook, trying to make sense of it all. I needed to find the one thing that could stop it. The key to ending it all. The diary was not just a window into her mind. It was a key. And it was not just a story of a girl losing her mind. It was a warning. The shadow was not just some figment of my imagination. He was a manifestation of my own fears, my own guilt, a creation of the darkness I had invited into my life. The more I read, the more I realized that the only way out was to confront him, to face him head on. But the cost would be steep. To do that would mean destroying myself, destroying the version of me that still clung to sanity. I had made my choice. I had to end it. I set out to find him. The shadow, the reflection, the one who had haunted me from the beginning. My hands trembled as I walked through the hallway. The air was thick, suffocating. The walls seemed to pulse with life. And then I found him, standing in the middle of the room. His eyes locked onto mine. He grinned, and I could see the darkness in his smile. "Come closer," he whispered, and I could feel his voice inside my head. I took a step forward, and then another. I didn't know how much time had passed. The shadow had become more real with every passing second. I was no longer sure if he was part of me or if I had become him. But then, it all clicked. He was me, and I was him. The realization hit me like a tidal wave. We had always been the same. It wasn't a possession, it was a merger. The final battle was not a battle at all. It was the collapse of my mind. I had already lost. I had been lost long ago, and now there was no turning back. I closed my eyes and whispered the only thing that mattered now. It's done. The shadows devoured me. I had become part of them. The world faded to black. I don't know what happened after. I closed my eyes. The darkness, it swallowed me whole. The walls seemed to pulse with every heartbeat, a rhythm that no longer belonged to me. My thoughts were disjointed, fragmented, and yet I could feel something watching me, something waiting. I wasn't alone. I stood in a place that wasn't a place. It wasn't reality. It wasn't even a dream. The air was cold and heavy, suffocating. The whispers filled the space, their words too blurred to understand, yet still somehow, I knew they were speaking to me. It was him, the shadow. No longer a figment of my imagination, but an embodiment of everything I had become. I wandered, aimlessly, until I found it. The mirror. It was cracked, the reflection fractured, but still. It reflected me, but not as I was. In the reflection, I saw myself, yes, but not in the way I remembered. My face was hollow, sunken in. My eyes were darker, colder. The smile that twisted my lips was not my own, yet it felt familiar. I reached out to touch the glass, and as I did, the shadow moved, stepping out from the dark corner. The air grew thick, heavy, pressing down on me like an iron fist. "Do you see it now?" the voice whispered, coming from every corner of the space. "This is who you are," I screamed, but there was no sound. My throat ached with the effort, yet nothing came out. The mirror shattered in front of me, the pieces falling like glass raindrops, each shard reflecting a different version of myself, each one more distorted than the last. I couldn't breathe. The air was thick, as if I was drowning in it. The walls were closing in, the voices growing louder. I turned to run, but I couldn't. I couldn't move. My legs felt as if they were cemented to the floor. I was paralyzed, trapped in this place, with him, with me. "It's too late to run, Andrew," he whispered, his voice now a sickening melody. "You've already lost." The world around me began to melt, the edges blurred. The reflection in the shattered glass twisted and stretched. The lines between the past and present dissolved, and I couldn't tell if I was in the apartment or somewhere else entirely. I tried to focus, to cling to reality, but it was slipping from my fingers, like sand through a clenched fist. I thought of Lily. I thought of the diary. I thought of how this all began. But those thoughts felt distant, foreign, like someone else's memories. Was I still Dr. Andrew Mercer? Or had I become something else entirely? The realization hit me hard. This was never about Lily. This was never about the diary. This was my story. I was the one who had been lost. I was the one who had invited the darkness in. And now, it was all-consuming. I stood at the edge of a cliff. The abyss stretched out before me, endless and yawning, pulling me in. The shadow was standing beside me, his face now identical to mine. "This is your choice," he said. "The end. The beginning. The same. All of it. You can't escape me, Andrew. We are one." I couldn't breathe. My chest tightened. It felt like my heart was about to stop beating. The insomnia had done its work. The confusion had shattered me piece by piece. And now I was no longer sure where I ended and the shadow began. There was no escape. There was no going back. I closed my eyes, taking in the final breath that would carry me into oblivion. I could feel the abyss pulling me in, and I realized it wasn't the end. It was never the end. This was a cycle, a loop. The shadow leaned in close, his voice now a soft whisper in my ear. You will never escape. Not now. Not ever. We are one, Andrew. Always have been. Always will be. I wanted to scream, to fight back, but I didn't. I couldn't. My mind had already fractured, and now all that was left was the shadow and me. The last thought I had was a whisper in my own voice. I am lost. The apartment was still. The silence was deafening. There were no more whispers, no more echoes, no more madness. Dr. Andrew Mercer's name was no longer in the files. He had become another ghost, another casualty of the darkness he had invited into his life. His office remained untouched, a silent memorial to the man who had once been. But the diary? It was still there, waiting. Its pages turned, as if by some unseen hand, and on the last page, the words had changed once more. You are me, I am you. And, somewhere in the darkness, the cycle would begin again.